This is Annette coming at you. Thank you for viewing me today. I appreciate your time. I am doing my solid food fast again. Yesterday I had a refeed. So I just like to talk to you, right? Now I know if you're watching this, you're probably saying, well, she's not doing it right. Well, this is my fasting. I know there's a lot of ways to do it. But I'm sort of like prepping myself to get down to the real fasting, which is water fast. Nothing, just water for 72 hours. And I'm sort of like prepping my brain for this because number one, I have a like stress factor that goes along with fasting. And I have a high cortisol, and so I'm trying to keep my stress level down to go into this fast. So I've been decreasing my carbs to 50 grams or less, and it's really hard for me in this household is because I live with a individual who doesn't really, I try to educate him because he's a lean guy, and he's always been a lean guy. He's never been on a diet, so to speak. He's over 60. But he just, and I keep telling him, we've been married 12 years. So I keep telling him that eventually, with all the sugar that he eats and all the carbs, it's going to catch up with him. Now, he has a metabolic fast metabolism, and he's genetically that way because all his families is that way, right? He don't have any fat people in his family. So he went and he has a high cholesterol, for years. I mean, for years, and the doctor wants him to take cholesterol medicine, and he won't take it. So he did try to go plant-based with me, but still he kept his carbs high. He loves sugar. He loves carbohydrates, potatoes. He's a potato guy, and he's a, he eats a lot of processed meats, like lunch meats and stuff like that, like particularly like ham and lunch meat and turkey lunch meat, and white potatoes and cheap white breads. I mean, he goes to the dollar store and buys the cheapest white bread, the most toxic bread you can think of. Well, I went on my weight loss journey in 2012, and I've been trying to educate him on somewhat healthy. I mean, you know, I've done a lot of body hacks and a lot of research, books and stuff like that. And I asked him, why don't you read this book? He doesn't want to. So my tolerance for this is just like right here. And, you know, one time I'll tell you a story. I had just had weight loss surgery in September. And this is a really funny story. It was either Christmas Eve, right around the holidays, Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Now, mind you, September, 3 months out of weight loss surgery, I was still hardcore. Carbs under 50, low fat, and I was hungry, and I was hangry. You know, I was really hungry. I was angry. I was not a nice person to be around, because basically I starved myself for 3 months. Well, actually, I starved myself how I was feeling for about 13 months. 13 months to lose the 65 pounds, to get down from 210 to 147, right? But my bariatric surgeon said, well, you weren't starving. Really, I wasn't starving, but did you live in my house? Jerk. Meanwhile, he sat behind the desk with a big old belly and big old man boobies behind that white, what do you call that, lab coat. I could see it. He wasn't no picture of health. So, so he comes in, my husband, on New Year's Eve, and guess what he brings? Those triple Oreo cookies, the triple Oreo cookies with the triple with that white stuff. Now, I don't know if you've researched about the research behind the Oreo cookie and the mouse and how it's just like crack, that white filler. It's all like toxic stuff or whatever. I mean, if you wanted to buy a cookie, I think of all the cookies, I think I would rather buy a homemade, maybe oatmeal with half the sugar and as natural as you can be. If I was gonna buy a cookie. No, he comes home with the double Oreo cookie. Well, you want to see somebody go into ballistic freak out mode. Yeah, I think my neighbors heard me on the whole floor. Yeah, I was in like, you know, freaking out in the Moon Age Daydream scene in that song. I think it was like David Bowie or something like that. Yeah, I was like, I flipped out. I totally flipped out because I was hangry, and he comes in with the temptation of all the temptations. And I was like, are you out of your mind? So this is the shit. This is the shit that I deal with. You know, this is the kind of person that I deal with, you know, every single day. Every single day. You know, and I created this sign up here, and if you could see this, it says, danger, warning, nothing healthy in here, junk food, disease, medical conditions, weight gain. How does this food help your body? You're the problem. So up there is where he keeps all his snacks. Want to see it? Well, it's kind of low now. It's kind of low now. We got Atkins bars. We got these Kashi bars. We got chips. We got crackers. We got what do you call those? Croutons. But this is on the low, and that there's something like back there. It's like some kind of. He said it was healthy. It was some kind of sugary snack with coconut that was really high in sugar. I tried to tell him that. Okay, here we go. Bar coconut chips, honey, coconut chips, non-GMO, which he thought he was doing good, and that's okay. And if you turn around the back, it has no preservatives or whatever. Sugar's 10 grams. Half a cup, 30 grams, 170 calories. 16 carbohydrates, 10 grams of sugar. You know. It is made from coconuts. So, I mean, I guess he did okay. So, yeah, that's all the snacks where he puts his snacks. And I do have some snacks. My snacks are down here. I keep my snacks down here. And my snacks, I have two snacks here, which are sunflower seeds. I have the, what do you call it, the unsweetened coca. And I have my teas. And what else do I have here? This is almonds. I have almonds. So those are my snacks right now, but I'm going to be switching to macadamia nuts, two Brazil nuts for selenium, and some pecans. But I've been trying to stay away from those snacks, and I've been through the last year, I've been snacking on a lot of fruit. So that's why my sugar is going up and, brought me out of whatever fat burning mode I was in. Eating a lot of fruit. I was eating 3 fruits a day. Now, when I was in bariatric, they told me only eat berries, which the low glycemic berries, which is, I think, these kind right here, the berry blend. Because let me see the stats on that. The stats on that, as far as sugar is concerned, it has 18 grams of carbohydrates, 11 grams of sugar, 1 gram, 1 cup, and I would never eat 1 cup of this stuff. But, yeah, so I'm getting back on track, and I am trying to reduce my glycogen stores. And I can't drink black coffee. Just can't do it. So I'm doing the half and half and the stevia. So that's in my coffee. And then I'm just drinking some, the last part of the, to replenish my electrolytes. And then I'm going to try to do a 48-hour plain water fast. So I'm getting ready for that. Yeah, so I just wanted to share with you a couple pictures. Now, to show my progression of obesity. And so this was when I was 16 years old. I was never considered obese, and I was, actually, I think I was about 16. I think I weighed no more than 120 pounds, and I was 5'4" there. That was 1976, and I think I was 20 years old, or 20 years old, and I think I weighed about 123, between 120 pounds there, and 120, no more than 125. No, that was like danger zone. So I kept it between 120 and 125. Here's my body, full body shot at a between 19 and 22. And I was about between 120 and 125 there. And now this is me and Amber. I was probably about under 130 pounds. My daughter was graduating from high school, so I think I was about 40 years old there, I think. Yeah. This is me and my mom. I was about, let's see, 34, and I was about 135 there, between 130 and 135. This is 2003. I was 43 years old. I weighed about 140 pounds. That's when Joe and I met. 42. Yeah, 42 is 2002. And I was 42 years old. Joe was 52 there. And then this is when I really got fat. This is the picture that broke the camel's back. And I saw how fat I got. I was shocked because I didn't see myself as being really fat. Now that's not my highest weight. I think I was 200 and I think I was like 205 there or whatever, and that was 2011, and I was 51 years old there, and my daughter there. So yeah, so that's the picture that broke the camel's back, and I said, Jesus, I am really fat, and what am I going to do about it? So, and then the next year, I tried, to do everything, and just metabolically, it just wasn't coming off. So I had weight loss surgery, right? So I kept everything off just about until 2000 and, I took up triathlons I started training in endurance training in 2013. I found triathlons and I said, hey, exercise, right? Exercise is going to take me to the leanest that I could possibly get. Yeah. So I went out to Iron Girl, which is an all-women's race, and I just fell in love with triathlon. I said, this is going to take me to the next level. And I think that was the end of 2012. So the end of 2012, I had to start to get ready. I had to prep my body into endurance exercise, right? Because I never was a runner. I never could run. Never could run. And I was a dancer. That's what I like to do. As a dancer, I did tap ballet and jazz growing up, all through from the time I was 6 years old, probably till I was about 12. And then I played softball and stuff like that, but I didn't participate in any really sports teams. In high school, I did play softball, and I was a switch hitter because I'm left-handed. So, but that's about it. And, I did go to the gym throughout my years and stuff like that. And I did take up cycling. I think it was like in 1990, I think 1990. And I cycled for, in the summertime because I was in New Jersey. And, so I couldn't really go to the gym that much because, from 1985 to, I became a single parent in 1987. So I really couldn't go to the gym that much, and financially I didn't have that extra money to blow. So so that's my story. It's, sorry if I bored you, but that's my life. That's my life. So here I am. I struggle with the fact that I have not a partner, a person who does not support me, tries to sabotage, gets me to try to eat these unhealthy foods to try to, not consciously, I don't think he's doing it in a what do you call that, malicious. I don't think he's doing it in a malicious way. It's just because he's just like in Disneyland all the time. He lives in Disneyland. I don't know. He lives in Disneyland. He just doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. So he did have his physical done, and he is. His doctor told him, that if he didn't cut out the sugar, cut out the carbs, and start to eat appropriately, because he looks like $1 million. I mean, people say, oh, you look great for your age, because he's lean and he's thin and he's tall. And he looks like a picture of health. But what's going on metabolically is not very good. His sugars, he's pre-diabetic. He's has high cholesterol. He goes to the gym 3 days a week and does some muscle exercises and stuff like that, and he does work 35 hours a week. He's semi-retired, but his job is very physical. So I let him borrow this tracker to see how many steps that he takes, because that he's physically active on his job. He walks about all day long. So he goes to work for 7 hours, and he probably walks about 30,000 steps. And 20,000, and then he does another 10,000 steps home or whatever after he gets done work. So he does about 30,000 steps a day, and they say how many steps a day you're supposed to get is between 10,000, more than 10,000 steps a day, the average amount of activity is 150 minutes a week on purpose exercise. And I've been doing that since 2012, since I had my weight loss surgery. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my endurance training, I would physically wake up before work and do an hour outside run. I'd wake up probably around 3:30 in the morning to do an hour to 4:30 in the morning, take a shower and go to work and have another 10-hour day, come home and do another hour. Yeah, it was usually 2 hours a day in some kind of either cardio, weight training, swim, bike, run, and I did that from 2012 till I got hurt in 2015. And in 2015, unknown to I have found out that I have mild venous insufficiency in my legs, which is genetic because my mom and my dad had it. And, you know, I didn't understand what was going on in my body, but in hindsight now I figured it all out that when I was doing my swim and I was doing a lot of cardiovascular, I think that I was not helping my my lymphatic system. I think I was taxing it. And then in 2015, I started getting these weird pains in my legs, and I thought it was not enough glycogen or not enough hydration and not enough potassium. And, you know, I was taking all these, what do you call those pills to put the minerals back in your body when you did high endurance exercise. And actually, I would take all kinds of liquid supplements to try, because I was getting pains in my legs during the swim. And, you know, everybody that I talked to, they said, oh, you know, it's because you're not hydrated enough, or because you're not replenishing your potassium or your sodium or your magnesium. And I was doing all that. I mean, so it was happening. So actually what happened in a race, I was doing Columbia triathlon in Columbia, Maryland, and they have these 3 large hills. And like after I got out of the swim, I just bonked. I bonked. And I was almost like I was in slow motion. I was in slow motion. I just couldn't. And believe me, I hydrated before the race. I carved up before the race. I mean, I was hydrating. Couldn't hydrate on the swim course because I swam for an hour. And I was getting these horrible cramps in my legs. And I had to hold the buoy. I didn't even think I was going to make it through the swim, but I did. And I got out of the water, and I was just like in slow motion. I couldn't run up the hill. I was like, and I got on my bike, and I tried so hard. And I had these 3, they call it the Camelback. There's 3 gigantic, really high hills to climb in the race. Well, I didn't even get through the last hill. I tried so hard, and the race director, because you have to finish the race within so many hours or whatever, and I didn't give up. I knew I was like, yeah, I'm gonna totally DNF this race, right? So the race director comes on his motorcycle, and he says, you know, I says, what's going on? He says, you know, you gotta bag it. He says, it's cut off time. You can finish the race, but you're basically going to be on your own. I said, nah, because I was like almost dead. I was almost dead. I just couldn't. I was going so slow. I was looking at my my GPS and my cadence monitor and my speed, and I was just like a turtle. I said, this is really pisses me off. So After that race, my leg, my right leg, when I got home, it swelled up like 3 times the size. My right leg swelled up to 3 times the size of normal. And I knew what it was. I knew I had either thrown a blood clot or I clogged my lymphatic system, and I wasn't going to go to no hospital because I knew they would give me that Coumadin and that blood thinner. No way, no way. So I treated myself. Yeah, I treated myself. Which made me have some kind of further lymphatic damage in my leg. And I had such pains for months, in my going down my sciatica, and I just started to swell. My whole body was retaining like fluids. I mean, one morning I woke up and my whole head, I had lymphedema in my head. I had head and neck lymphedema. That's really bad, because once it goes in your head, you're going to have you're going to have inflammation in your brain. So I broke down and I went to a doctor. I was working for MedStar in Washington, D.C. And so he said, you have a lymphatic disorder and you have lymphedema. So I had to go for a complete decompression therapy on my legs. I had to have my legs bandaged. So that was May in 2015. I suffered all the way through 2015 with this edema and lymphedema, whatever it was. I call it a total edema shitstorm. And I had to have 2 rounds of therapy, which they sort of like milk your legs to get all the edema out. I gained on water weight, enormous amount of water weight. And I knew I was gaining water weight because I went and had a bod pod test, because I kept feeling this. I kept saying, I'm not eating anymore, but yet I'm gaining weight. I mean, look at me. And I kept saying, look at me. I'm gaining weight. I'm getting swelling up with liquid, and I could feel my legs. My legs were like, I felt like I was carrying around sandbags. And so that was 2015. 2016, I wound up with a digestive disorder. I had, every time I tried to go out to run any long races, even if I would do a running race, which I tried, I still tried, half marathons, I did some 10Ks, even though I knew I wasn't supposed to, but I did. And my bowels would, sorry, TMI, I'd had to run for the porta potty because my bowels would explode. And then after the race, it was almost like I had like a Crohn's thing. And I won't tell you what that was. And it would last for 24 hours, and I found out that it's called runner's belly. What it does, it attacks your immune system, and my hair fell out, and I had bald spots in my head, and just felt really, really horrible for 2016. I mean, I was sick. I was really sick. And I couldn't get anybody to help me, because all the doctors that I went to, they blamed it on you're eating too much and you need to exercise more. So I said, let me go get a lap band fill. So they tightened up my lap band all the way, and I threw up even more, and that aggravated my immune system even more. And then what else? Sometimes I couldn't eat for days because of the, I would get, my throat would close up, and it was really bad. It was a bronchospasm. I would get bronchospasms. So, so that's my history. And so I had my lap band unfilled, and I decided, I said, you know what? They wouldn't take my lap band out. No, they wouldn't take it out. So they did an EGD, and they went down my throat, and they found out that I do have an inflamed esophagus. Well, I guess why? Because I was throwing up all the time, PBing or whatever you want to call it. That my hernia came back from all the throwing up and all the retching. So they took all the fluid out before they did the EGD, and found out that possibly they couldn't really determine whether or not my lap band had slipped. But everybody knows if you have a lap band, you have total. If they unfill it, the lap band will go back into position, because I swear I had some kind of extra pouch or something like that. Who knows? I couldn't get anybody to give me a straight answer. So 2016, I basically, after I had my EGD done and couldn't get any answers, and I said, I'm done with doctors. I never went back to any doctors. That's it. So 2017, I researched and I did my own theory that I was going to not do any exercise, not do anything, and reduce my cortisol. My lap band was unfilled, and I was going to try to reset my metabolism. Oh, I forgot to add, for 12 months in 2015, I did go vegan. I went plant-based, I went pescatarian, I did all kinds of things, you know, all kinds of diets to try to keep my weight in check, because I was scared to death of gaining the 60 pounds back, right? 65 pounds. And, you know, I did gain weight in my triathlon training, because I did eat more carbs, because who can exercise in an endurance training? Because my glycogen, when I would do a 4-hour workout, it would only last 2 hours. I would burn out of glycogen in 2 hours. Any kind of, whether it was swim, bike, run, after 2 hours, I would just die and I couldn't move. So I had to add more carbs to keep me in endurance mode of exercise, right? So that's a story. And so 2018, I started back on trying to get myself out of a what you call non-dieting, not non-dieting, but low carb, and trying to find the best diet that I can go to. So I figured I'd swing back to and try this keto, low carb style of eating. And the reason why I'm doing this is because fasting eliminates inflammation, because I have high homocysteine level. What is my homocysteine level? It's triple digits. And so that's where I stand now. And I can actually feel the inflammation leaving my body since I've been fasting. You know, my fasting. Maybe it's not your fasting, but this is what I'm trying to do. So anyway, it's 33 minutes. Wow, this is a long video. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.